I'm Frank Williams, and welcome to SuccessToday.tv. And as always, I'm joined by my two very good friends, Tom Roman and Rich Goldberg. Guys, we're going to talk about goal achievement today. How does someone stay focused and on track when they're trying to achieve a goal? Considering 80% of the population never sets goals for themselves, 17% quit after the first 6 months, which leaves only 3% of the population that actually achieves goals. And Tom, we'll let you start first. What is it that somebody can do to stay on track and focused on achieving a goal?
Great question, Frank, and it's something that we see every single day. When we do presentations, say about out of 100 people we ask to raise their hands, how many people set goals? Normally about 5 or 6 to about 10 raise their hands. So usually roughly about 3 to 5%, maybe a little more sometimes. And when asked how many people have set their goals in the last 6 months, it's even fewer. And we say to them, how many people here have written their goals down in the past week or so? Barely anyone raises their hands. The first thing, I think, to goal achievement, which is a lot different than goal setting, it's the ability to get to it every single day. And the old saying was, long after the moment of motivation, the moment of excited curiosity that prompted you to set that goal has passed. So the idea is, how do you keep a daily drive in terms of doing that? And I personally, I like to rewrite my goals every day. It's something I learned from Brian Tracy. He's a great speaker and author and very great sales consultant as well. But he recommended write your goals down twice a day, once in the morning and once at night. And what it does is it sets your day up for you thinking about your goals, keeping them in your consciousness, but also the ability to live your life as if you are that person already that has achieved the goals. And that's what really writing the goals down does. It takes something from out of the future and brings it into the present. So I think the first step, and we'll talk about more steps later, the first step I think is rewriting your goals every day to keep the goals in your consciousness and to become that person now.
Okay, very good. Rich?
Thank you. Just like Thomas, I write my goals every day, but I tweak them once in a while just to keep them updated. But regarding the achievement of the goal, let's mention the situation of the New Year's resolution as it pertains to goal achievement. By February 1st, I think 93% have already gone by the boards. Why is that? Again, you have to consistently and persistently have a goal in mind and pursue it. And again, like with anything, you start off with baby steps. You crawl, then you walk, then you run. You'll have your initial adversity. You might be knocked off course, or you might find that a change is necessary in the achievement of your goal. So you have to have some personal focus, concentration, and discipline to fulfill that obligation that you gave a personal responsibility to yourself that you're going to fulfill a goal and pursue it to the hilt. You can't be knocked off stride, you can't be knocked off kilter with the first rock in the road, because a lot of times you will encounter that kind of adversity, and you need to persist, be consistent, be true to yourself, and continue to follow up and follow through.
Very good. Thank you. The goal is the ultimate purpose. It is the outcome that we're looking for. So what we want to do is we want to take responsibility for the process. Don't worry about the result, the end result, because it's going to get there. But in order to get there, you have to take responsibility for the process. Whether it's a small step, like Rich said, or a big step, it's very important that you do something each and every day to get there. Tom?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And that's the other thing that we were talking about before, is you have to have a real determination. And one of the most important things is your peer group. So you have control of your thinking, which is very important. You have control of what comes out of your mouth. You have control of what goes in your mouth, right? But one of the things that we don't have control over a lot of times are the people with whom we surround ourselves. We run into different people throughout the day. We run into different people in our jobs, our careers, throughout everyday life. You're going to meet all kinds of people. The majority of the people statistically don't set goals, right? So I see a lot of people many times who set a goal for a specific, say, purpose, or maybe a certain industry, or maybe a certain business goal. And yet they're asking a friend who has no idea about their business, no idea how to market their business, how to go about reaching that goal, and discussing with them and asking if their strategy is sound. You see, that type of thing will maybe hold people back years and years. when I went to see Anthony Robbins speak, when you and I went to see him, he mentioned something about you hit a plateau, and the way to get over a plateau is to talk to an expert in the field. And I really believe that wholeheartedly as well. This is an example of how you implement that strategy. But when you set a goal, go read books. A, do your own thinking about it as much as you can. B, read books on the subject. Go out there and read as many books as you can. And C, speak to people who have already achieved that goal in that industry. And believe me, the funny part is, people like that want to hear from you. And you have to persist. You have to maybe call them several times, send them a few letters. Most of the people give up at the very beginning. But if you do that, you take the plateau and you transcend that and you keep climbing the mountain. And that's, I think, where most people will get off track is they'll set a goal for a very ambitious goal and they won't see much progress because of the people they're talking to about that goal. And you know something? If someone hasn't reached the goal that you want in your life or hasn't whatever venue that is, whether it be a financial goal, whether it be a personal goal or a spiritual goal or a business goal, if they haven't reached that goal yet in their life, you have to take their advice with a grain of salt. You have to say to them, well, I appreciate the feedback. Now, if they give it voluntarily, or if you ask them for it, I appreciate the feedback. But at the same time, you have to realize that they didn't reach it themselves. Their feedback, and I don't mean to say this in a harsh way, but isn't really that valuable. So I recommend that wholeheartedly. Ask people who have already attained the goal you want and really value their advice. So that's one of the major things, I think, is who your peer group is for that specific goal.
In our situation, we have a lot of support and give a lot of support to each other in our mastermind group, if you want to call it that. But it gives us a lot of momentum and a lot of impetus to go forward because we're like-minded people. If you don't have that situation, it will be more challenging, but it's still doable. If anything, the comfort zone that wherever you are in a given time and place needs to be expanded into literally your discomfort zone or a lack of familiarity, and that's where the challenge comes, that's where the personal courage comes for you to keep going, keep scaling your private and public Everest or Kilimanjaro or whatever you want to call it, but to continue, even though it's perhaps becoming more difficult in your quest to achieve that goal. So you have to go into uncharted waters, and as you do, the waters actually will become more calm as you continue your quest. You just have to continue on it and not give up. So it's as if you're going emotionally across the country, and if you have a couple of wicked thunderstorms from New Jersey to, say, you hit something in Missouri, you don't stop on your quest to California just because you had a couple of roadblocks or thunderstorms in that metaphor, meteorologically speaking, to continue. So again, across country, you keep going, you expand your level of discomfort, which will down the road become absorbed into a greater area of comfort. I hope I conveyed that specifically with clarity.
That was very good.
Very good, yeah, absolutely.
Tom, I know you mention it quite often at your speaking engagements, and I find it to be very valuable. One thing our listeners, our viewers need to be aware of is the way we speak.
Mm-hmm.
The I can't do it, or I've tried, it's just not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you speak those words are actually going to defeat you. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to start believing that you can and watch what you say. Instead of saying I can't, the word can't shouldn't even be in our dictionary. Start believing, saying yes, I can. I just have to find a way to do it. If you're working on a certain goal and the path you're taking is not working, you don't quit. You take a detour. You try something else. And if that doesn't work, you try something else. So you're absolutely right. You have to be very careful with the way you speak. It's not I can't anymore. It's I can and I will.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you 100%. And this goes back to the basics. I mean, this is one of the most key things, I think, when it comes to goal achievement is the belief. And here's the thing. And this is where many people misconstrue goals. They think that it's something in the distance, something in the horizon. That's not a goal. A goal, literally, is taking that dream and bringing it from there to here. Because really, the only moment we have is now. It's the only moment we have. So yesterday is gone and tomorrow is not here yet. Think about it. Time itself is an illusion. All we have is the present moment. It's the only time in which you can ever do anything of value. So the idea is, in the present moment, if you want a goal to speak another language, This is one of the things we teach in our goal setting seminar. Say it. They exist in the positive, the present tense, the positive, personal, and present tense. Positive meaning forward thinking and affirmative thought. Instead of saying, for example, I want to lose weight, say I am becoming in the best shape I can possibly be. I am in the best shape I can possibly be, and my body's getting even better every day, right? The second may be in the positive, in the present tense. I am, not I might be. And the third is the personal, positive, and present tense. And then I said personal, and saying the term I. You're the only person in the history of the world that you can say the word I about yourself. You're the only person about whom you can say I. Okay, it's yourself in the whole world, in the whole universe, right? So the idea is keep them in those two things: the personal, present, positive sense. And the idea is we are in a state of becoming. So if you say, inside of yourself, it starts with your thinking. Most people have an inner critic and say things like, "Oh, I could never do that." Well, you're right. Henry Ford said it. Whether you said it in the end of one show one time. Whether you say you're right or you say you can or you can't, you're right. Either way, you're right. The idea is change that inner critic into an inner coach. Instead of saying, I can't do it, say I am in the process of doing it. I am becoming more creative. I am more creative every single day, every single moment. You say the things that you think you can't do. Yeah, and it's basic stuff, but it starts within yourself. Turn that critic into a coach. I mean, it's very basic stuff. And that's how you get the psychology of success, the very psychology that it's already happening. You understand? And you turn it into motion. And one more thing, I can't emphasize enough, to live it in the moment. The shortest way to prosperity is to live it. Live abundantly, live opulently, live in the way that your goals, when you have all those things, you live that way. You're simply choosing to go to your apartment rather than your giga yacht because you're choosing that. It's out there for you now, but you're just simply choosing not to go there. And you have to believe that and feel that way. The same power, the same feeling. So that's a big part of that, Frank. I agree 100%. The vocabulary.
I would say the mind is an incredible instrument, and you can either talk yourself into something or talk yourself out of something. Obviously, as it pertains to goals, as I was just about to plagiarize Thomas before he mentioned his anecdotal information about the present, you have to steer your mind in such a way that you stay on course. The minute you dilly-dally, you fall off the road, you go in a different direction, and then that goal is going to dissipate into nothingness at some point in the near future. So guide your mind in a way, thinking, thought, belief, gives you a lot of power. Use your affirmations if you're into that, where you repeat these items over and over, or at least several times a day, or multiple times, whatever you're comfortable with, and just stay the course. If you want to lose 37 pounds, it took you years to get there, you're not going to do it overnight unless you have surgery. If you want to become more financially solvent, you want to have a 7-figure income, and you're on public assistance, unless you hit the lottery, you're not going to do that overnight either. So it's all gradual, it's passion, and it takes time. It's all a work in progress, as we all are.
Very good. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I think our viewers can do is start a journal. Whenever you find yourself speaking negatively, write that in the journal. What was it you said? Why did you say it? And keep that consistent. And at the end of the week, go back and review that journal. And what happens is, over a period of time, you start interrupting that negative pattern of thinking. So write that in the book. When you write that negative phrase in the book, right next to it, turn it into a positive. And over time, you start to catch yourself as far as decreasing the amount of times you do speak negative, and you increase the positive thinking, which gets you to achieve your goal.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And speaking of that, this kind of transitions into the actual tactical side of goal achievement, which I think many people miss personally. But you get back to the basics. You say, how did you get through a high school class or a college class? You had a textbook that was this thick, and by the end of the semester, you looked at it at the beginning of the semester, you're like, holy crap. And then in the semester, you learned it. Not only did you learn it, you pretty much aced the final, passed the course, or got a good grade in that course based on the information in there. You pretty much mastered a whole textbook. How did you do it? You chunked it down. You took it and you learned, half a chapter every night until 28 chapters were accomplished by the end of the semester, whatever the amount of chapters were. The same thing is true of a goal, and this is where most people don't do it. They write a goal down, but they fail in the act of planning the time frame at which they're going to work on that goal. So you have to say, hey, listen, I have a goal to do this today. I have my normal work day. It's going to be from, say most people work from 9 to 5, right? But that day, I'm going to work on this goal from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. And then I'm going to do my normal thing, whatever it is. Or from 6 to 7 p.m. And hold yourself accountable, just as if you had a meeting with a very important client. But you work on that goal every day, and that causality of that type of thing will yield massive dividends. So you have 7 hours a week you're working on the goal. That's 28 hours. Within 5 weeks, it's like a whole work week that you dedicated to that goal, to 1 hour a day. And what do? You do more productive activities with your time. We talked about this before. You eliminate certain things from your life, like television, or you fill that time with more productive time. And when you start seeing things transpire and see things happen, you're gonna be amazed at the results. And I mean, personally, I can work on certain goals like that, but other creative type of goals, where like writing or other types of creative work, a lot of times the websites we do, they take a lot of steps throughout a day. I'll work on those on a Saturday or a Friday. Sometimes like today I blocked out a whole day to do development work, and I just sat down and literally answered phone calls, but really just did the development work because I was in the creative flow of things. So certain work you just need to block out a segment of time and say, I'm going to knock this out, and literally chain yourself to the desk until that task is done. But you have to set the goal and schedule the time, put it on the calendar, and hold yourself accountable. Because the weird part is, even if you just show up, and you're at your desk or whatever the project, it could be something on your lawn or your car. If you just show up, you would be surprised how easy it is to get into that activity, and over time, tremendous results. So major thing. If you set goals and you don't schedule them into your everyday life, then pretty much the only person you're going to blame is looking at you in the mirror. You're not doing the activities that are going to get you there. So schedule the time for that goal.
Very good.
As I conduct my stress management and humor workshops, I see a lot of times people just aren't in the proper frame of mind to have a goal or an achievement of one, because they're just not in a happy place, a good place, whatever. They're very stressed, they're very distressed, they are distracted, they're preoccupied, and again, there's a lot of things going on in their life that prevents them from pursuing these goals. So again, try to get into a mental frame of mind that will make you powerful and will allow you to pursue the goals that you want. So don't become overwhelmed. Yes, life goes on. There are adversities on numerous occasions in different forms, at different levels, that can stress you out. Take what you can from that, or those negatives, and try to turn them and flip them into a positive by turning them around. But try to minimize the impact of various stressors in your life, why you react in a certain way, and go from there. And this will put you in a better place and have a greater balance in your life, which will lend itself and enhance you to achieving your goals.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Another suggestion for our viewers would be, one thing I'm very big on, and I know Tom is, and Rich, I know you are as well, is finding two other people that maybe have the same passion as you do to achieving goals. Mm-hmm. And we all have a guy's night out and a ladies' night out. And one thing I'm trying, and I'm hoping catches on, and when I speak with my clients, is one thing I strongly suggest they do, is have a BAM night out, which is believers achieve much more. And strength is in numbers. When you have that team, they not only support you, but you get to support them, and your progress is that much greater and faster in achieving the goal. So get a team together, have a BAM night out, the results will be fantastic, and it'll be much faster.
I'm with you 100%, and that comes back to the environment with which you surround yourself. Ultra important, ultra important. So we all have our friends, but also you got to have people that are in your inner circle that are supporting your goals. Another thing that I want to talk about too is, which is I think the thing people lose, at least in my situation, lose a lot of, and it's almost like taboo actually now, but the intensity to work on your goals. I'm talking getting fired up, like literally jumping out of bed in the morning and getting up and putting your feet in the floor, saying thank you, and getting fired up, almost like you can't wait to get out of bed in the morning. And I think Anthony Robbins again said it best. I really admire him a lot when it comes to the subject. But about goal setting, he said when people say that they're not motivated, he said it's not that you're not motivated, it's that you have impotent goals. Really, really powerful point. People, they're not that they're not motivated. We all have it inside of us, that enthusiasm. Enthusiasm, It's infectious. It's inside of us. We have it. And when we see someone enthusiastic, we gravitate towards them. But how do we become enthusiastic ourselves? Well, that comes from really well-defined, sharp goals. And obviously, we can't get into all of the goal-setting mechanisms on this. Come to one of our seminars if you want on goal setting, or just get some books on goal setting. There's a lot of great ones out there. The idea, though, is set those goals, man. Get fired up about them. Get excited about them. And what happens is, all of a sudden, your whole life takes on a whole new meaning. And people, it's like almost like a taboo to get that fired up about what you do. Funny, I was at a customer today and was talking to him and showing them the homepage studies we did for him for a web development project we're working on. And I was like, and this is how this goes, and this is how this goes, and this is where the keyword content text goes, right here, called the pole position. And I was like, he was like, whoa, you're into this. I was like, hell yeah, I'm into this. This is what I'm doing my living. You kidding me? It doesn't get any more into this. You can't get any more into it than that, you know what I mean? But that type of enthusiasm, and you know what? And it shows through. People are like, dude, this guy really likes this, man. And you know what? Obviously, if he likes this much, he's going to do a good job for me. Or, you know, whoever, he or she, whoever's doing it. You get enthusiastic about your goals. Get fired up. Can't wait to get out of bed in the morning, fired up. Is every day like that? Granted, no. You have your good days and your bad days. We all do, okay? But the idea is when you have a bad day, sleep in that day. Take a few hours off. They're going to come around here and there. Not going to lie to you. It happens to all of us. The idea, though, on normal, every days, plan your goals. Write them out the night before. Get up in the morning, look at them. Have pictures of them around your apartment, around your home. Read them regularly. Have them on 3x5 cards. Read them. Talk about them with your friends a lot. Get excited about them. And you know what? If someone ever says to you, why do you always talk about goals? Can't we talk about something else? Then you know what? Honestly, spend a lot less time with that person. You know, because the goal setting, it's I don't know, it's a way of life. It's a way of life. And if someone ever says that, obviously they're mediocre people, very mediocre. They're very they're not going to really. They're not accomplishing. They're not going to accomplish too much if someone ever broke you down like that. So comes back to the environment again. But don't be afraid to get enthusiastic. If you're not enthusiastic, immediately. I'm not talking later. I'm not talking 2 weeks from now. Just as if you literally, have a huge gash in your arm and it's bleeding and you need stitches. Go out right now with that sense of urgency and set your goals. Get it going. And I'm telling you, you will have that same enthusiasm. Guys?
I'm ready to strap on the helmet and leave the locker room right now.
Hey, I like it, Rich. You're right, man.
Very intense. Wow.
That's how I am around you guys. I just gotta get fired up. It's good company. That's what it is.
Another items you can do to fire yourself up. What do you like to do? And just do that throughout the day. Work aside, any hobbies you have, pastimes. What do you like to do? Yoga, meditation, take a long walk, painting, look at sunsets, photography, go to the gym. Any of those items reduces your stress, puts you in a better place. Time management, as Thomas mentioned, maybe you want to cut down on the TV a little, gives you more time automatically just by the exclusion of those reality shows we all love and find endearing. So again, with the increase in time and how you consume that time and doing things you like will also enhance how you spend the day and keep you on your given track of success and achievement.
Very good.
Guys, when I do coaching, whether it's one-on-one or whether it's in a group, one thing I try to get across to the audience is before you can even focus on a goal, okay, you have to know who you are. As an individual, what strengths do you have? And I find it to be very important because a lot of people say, wow, I never thought of that, or I never thought of that. So before you can even work on a goal, you need to know who you are as an individual, because that's where your confidence comes in. That's your starting point. You can't just go out there and say, oh, okay, I'm going to do this. No, who are you? What strengths do you have, and how can you use them? And the other thing our viewers want to remember too is something, again, we bring up Tony Robbins. In order to move forward, you've got to let go of the past, because the past does not equal the future. Let go of the past and just look forward and look to transforming your life and achieving those goals that you want for yourself, for your family, or even your community.
Yes. And Frank, it's funny you said that, because I was talking to someone a few weeks ago, and the person was saying to me about how they had to get over issues in their past. And I sat down with them because they have goals, things they want to accomplish, and they had to sort through this. And I said, I said, your mind can only have, and you taught me a lot about this, about your thinking, can only occupy, mind can only have one thought at a time occupy it. So it's your choice whether that thought is about something in the future, about your goals, and again, bring it back to the present, the act of becoming. That's what we're doing here, the art of becoming. The art of becoming, taking that thing in the future and bringing it into now. But if that idea you have is on that, or it's on something in the past.
Or a pleasant or unpleasant thought.
Yeah, exactly.
You only have one of them.
Exactly, and the idea is that is in our absolute control, okay? So that's exactly what it is. And goal achievement, when you work on them, Earl Nightingale said this years ago. He said, success is the progressive realization of a worthy goal or ideal, right? So as you're realizing, that is the success. As you're achieving, as you work on these things daily, that is the success. And you're as successful now as you're ever going to be. And frankly, you said before, self-belief, belief in oneself. It's more than confidence. It goes way beyond confidence. I'm talking a belief that the same mind is in you that was in Shakespeare. The same skill was in you that is in Thomas Edison. The same divinity is in you as a Mother Teresa. These things are in all of us. And all you have to do is put in the mechanism that will unleash them. You see, unlock them. And that mechanism, I think there's two of them. One of them is goal setting, and the other is gratitude, which I think is, Wallace Wattles said it years ago. He said the whole art of mental atonement is in the art of gratitude, which is something we'll talk about on another show. We should definitely dedicate a whole show to that, because that topic in itself. But the goal setting and gratitude, the combination of those two, whenever you start feeling bad about anything, focus on what you're grateful for, and then when you are back in a good frame of mind, focus on your goals and literally make them happen, whatever it takes. And if something doesn't work, is what we always say, you keep trying. If something doesn't work, keep trying. Because if someone in an industry, or someone is in an industry, or someone has a business, someone has accomplished something that you want, you have 100% of the ability to accomplish the same thing. And you know what? I hear people all the time say, and it's funny when people place their frame of minds, oh my God, things are slowing down, things are going here, things are going here. Are you kidding me? We're 10 years into the internet where people are trusting their credit cards online. Maybe 7 years, okay, we're into that, where commerce is actually happening. We're just scratching the surface. The printing press has been around for 500 or so, okay? We are just scratching the surface. If you believe that, really, really, come on. Get real, okay? Get intelligent. Start thinking for yourself. And you know what? I learned my whole web development business within a 3-year span, okay? So I'm telling you, if I could do it, literally, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, you can do it too. I'll tell you that right now. So please realize that, okay? And there's no excuse at all. Again, the only person you have to blame for the present condition of your life is looking at you in the mirror every morning when you wake up, when you brush your teeth. Look at that person and say, I want more in life, and go out there and make it happen.
Good.
To use a sports reference, every professional player was once an amateur. In addition to that, there's spring training for baseball, there's training camps going on right now for football. All in the quest to get better by continued practice, again, using the positive techniques that both Thomas and Mr. Williams used earlier in this episode. So keep practicing, practice earnestly, sincerely every day, keep focused on your goal, your concentration, and things will eventually get better for you.
Very good, guys. I'd just like to finish with a story. I know we experience many setbacks in our life, and unfortunately sometimes they can be tragic. But I'd like to finish this episode with a story that I came across a while back. It was about the Clark families. And I can't remember if they're from Sweden or Switzerland. This is going back years. And the father had worked so hard to save up enough money so they could move to America. 7 days before they were supposed to leave, his young son had gotten bitten by a dog. The doctor comes to the house and says everybody has to be quarantined for 7 days. Apparently the father became very angry and very upset with his son and at God, because he had worked all his life, he saw the goal, and it just disappeared. It was destroyed. The day the ship was supposed to leave, or the day the ship left, the father went out to the dock and he watched it take off, still angry and bitter at God and his son. Back in the day, of course, the news traveled slower than, of course, it does today. 5 days later, the ship that they were supposed to be on sank. That ship was the Titanic. So you talk about tragedy or a blessing. If something doesn't work, look for the good in it because it will make you a better person and it will make you that much stronger in achieving the life you deserve. If you have any questions or any topics you would like us to discuss, Tom, where can they contact
Yes,
us?
just go to info@successtoday.tv and just email us there. And Frank, I just want to comment on that story because sometimes we think that a seeming failure is a failure at the time, it's the worst thing ever. But the reality is that, like you just said, it's really a blessing. And the idea that that's a part of this whole faith thing about keep trying and try different things. You keep trying, in different directions, and everything that you tried is going to benefit the other thing that you try in the future. But yeah, please realize that. The idea that a seeming setback ultimately is a real blessing in the future, and that's real faith, believing that there's a bigger plan we're a part of.
If they have any questions or any topics they'd like us to discuss, where can they reach us?
Yeah, just go to info@successtoday.tv, email us, and we'll be happy to discuss your questions on the show.
Very good, guys. Great show. On behalf of Tom and Rich, I'm Frank. We'll see you next time.
See you later.
Good night.